Welcome to Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-date news on the political scene of Donald Trump, his presidency, American politics and conspiracies. Please subscribe to receive notice of our daily updates. Also share with your friends and your social media. We encourage you to like our videos and give your comments.
This is TBNN.
President Trump targets Big Pharma price monopolies, opioid addiction and riveting State of the Union speech. President Trump took aim at Big Pharma's price monopolies in tonight's State of the Union speech, promising, perhaps even threatening, to dramatically lower prescription drug prices in the near future. "One of my greatest priorities is to reduce the price of prescription drugs," the president said to wide applause. In many other countries, these drugs cost far less than what we pay in the United States. That is why I have directed my administration to make fixing the injustice of high drug prices one of our top priorities. Prices will come down. As expected, Democrats were quick to attack the president over his comments, citing a lack of specifics on how, exactly, he plans to bring down prescription drug prices. Such comments, of course, ignore the fact that the State of the Union address is an overview of the nation's status and future direction, not a detailed policy debate for number crunchers. It's also worth mentioning that Democrats usually have no idea how things actually get accomplished through innovation rather than government control. Note that former President Obama once expressed extreme skepticism that Trump could help bring jobs back to America, mocking Trump with the question of whether he had a magic wand that could bring those jobs back. A year later, Trump responded by signing the GOP tax reform bill into law, which has already resulted in a windfall of repatriated money, jobs and opportunities rushing back to America. The Democrats are still confused how this happened. The idea of smaller government makes no sense to them, because Democrats have no faith in the people achieving great things on their own, without the intervention of big government. President Trump names the opioid epidemic as a threat to America. The president also singled out the opioid epidemic as a particularly destructive force that's ravaging the country. In 2016, we lost 64,000 Americans to drug overdoses, 174 deaths per day. 7 per hour. We must get much tougher on drug dealers and pushers if we are going to succeed in stopping this scourge, he said. My administration is committed to fighting the drug epidemic and helping get treatment for those in need. The struggle will be long and difficult, but, as Americans always do, we will prevail. In a speech that brought together inspiring stories of heroic Americans, many of whom were physically present for the event, the president also touted the extraordinary economic achievements that have already come to fruition in just 1 year. African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded, and Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history, President Trump said. Astonishingly, many African American Democrat lawmakers in the room sat silent, refusing to applaud the low unemployment milestone for Black Americans. This clearly demonstrated how Democrats don't care at all for the plight of African Americans. If they can't even applaud record low unemployment rates for Black Americans, what do they stand for, exactly? This became even more clear when Democrats booed the devastated parents of 2 young girls who were murdered by MS-13 gang members in New York. As most of the country mourned the suffering of these stoic parents, Democrats are heard in the background actually booing the parents. Democrats demonstrate just how much they hate America. Later in the speech, when Trump inspired the crowd to spontaneously chant, USA, out of sheer pride for their country, something that hasn't been felt for the full 8 years of Obama's anti-America regime, Democrat Congressman Luis Gutierrez actually walked out of the speech. It seems that USA is terrifying to Democrats like Gutierrez, who have made careers out of bashing this country instead of fighting for its prosperity. Nancy Pelosi, for her part, sat almost paralyzed, nearly drooling in a zombified catatonic state throughout the entire speech. At one point after President Trump said, "That is why I have directed my administration to make fixing the injustice of high drug prices one of our top priorities," I thought to myself that he should add, "so that Nancy Pelosi can afford all her medication." Seriously, is she even aware anymore? Watching the Democrats' spite for America, I realized I have never witnessed such a display of disgraceful, shameful, anti-American behavior on the part of left-wing lawmakers. In contrast to the hopeful, inspiring and unifying message of the president, the left resorted to booing grieving parents, refusing to applaud the amazing job improvement milestone for African Americans, and even walking out when chants of USA broke out across the chamber. The despicable behavior of the Democrats was further confirmation of just how deeply Democrats truly hate America and everything it stands for. So tonight, I am extending an open hand to work with members of both parties, Democrats and Republicans, to protect our citizens of every background, color, religion, and creed, Trump said defiantly. My duty, and the sacred duty of every elected official in this chamber, is to defend Americans, to protect their safety, their families, their communities, and their right to the American dream. Because Americans are dreamers too. That last line must have offended the Democrats the most, because they don't believe in America, they don't believe that Americans can have dreams, and they don't believe that conservative, Christian Americans have any right to exist at all. To the left, only non-citizens can have dreams, while American citizens are supposed to surrender their country to the lawless tyranny of the left, and its totalitarian agenda of overrunning this country with socialists and communists while protecting murderers and rapists under sanctuary city rules that put citizens at risk. Watching President Trump tonight, I truly share in his positive, uplifting vision for a better America. If the obstructionist Democrats weren't so desperately trying to destroy this country, and bring down our elected president in the process, we would already be twice as far along as we are now. Even then, President Trump has achieved extraordinary things in his first year. And he's just getting started. Now, it's time to release the memo and expose the true crimes of the corrupt, lawless Democrats for all the world to see.
This has been the Trump Breaking News Network. Please subscribe and share to stay up to date on the latest news about our president. Be informed.